Welcome in to my vehicle. Kizmet and Discomfort. Kizmet, my dog. Kizmet, the Kismet, that which is our purpose. We can look a little bit at that and the discomfort, the uncomfortable things. I cannot get comfortable today. What else has been coming up for me so far this morning? Blocks and discomforts. So we'll look at that. I've got Alice in Wonderland, the tarot, and our art oracles, and a lavender latte, but I wish I had my other oracle deck or some of my other oracle cards, but that's fine. That's fine. Blocks, walls, things are uncomfortable because they haven't moved forward. Or maybe they are moving forward, or they're moving. But I think direction is a theme. Bullying is a theme for art and the sex scene for this year. So maybe we'll look at some of that energy. Because that's been like one of those, how do I want to put it? Experimental energy frequency things that I've put out there to see how the feedback is returned or comes back. And there's been, I don't know if it's like a stall or things coming up and out. In shuffling this, the Magician came up as far as like firsts and beginnings. But I don't know that I want to look at that one. Why not? Because the quick and instantaneous things, the initial, the firsts, those, like the rabbit coming out of a hat, it's an illusion, so if things happen quickly, it's illusory. Maybe we'll look at this cake cutting thing here too. I don't know why a cakewalk is coming to mind. I don't know if you've ever participated in a cakewalk, where you go in a circle and go in a circle and go in a circle, and basically when the music stops or wherever you land, it's kind of by chance. But then we'll look at oysters here. What is oysters in the deck? I think they have something to do with the coins here. But it's like you can... Is this around the theme of you can't have your cake and eat it too? Looking for something and pushing it away, or holding opposing beliefs, creating a wall of resistance, limiting beliefs because in group settings or something you're told you can't do this, or narratives are coming up as well. Yeah, oysters is coins or pentacles, but suit of diamonds, implying possessions, along with the pleasures and the pains of them. It's like the freedoms and having the no things, but the memories, stressors, ideas, responsibilities that come with the having of the things, or like people getting things through by force, because working hard and being good doesn't exactly equal the payout. Not initially. There's like a long-term patience and waiting. Something else here was about patience, though, too. And that just circles us back around to this: patience pays, wait, good things will come, consolidate, concentrate, just be you. And something else about circling back around, too, because in this space, we've started out in this space. From this space, i.e. my vehicle, kind of. But it's always like, where am I comfortable doing this? Where are the distractions not? And it's like the distractions are everywhere. Those distractions are very uncomfortable or discomforting. Let's look at this like discomfort thing, because the cake's not comfortable. It's got a knife sticking out of it. Betrayal and love and heart stuff is coming forward, so there are blocks too. I'll show this to you. Generosity to those less fortunate, kindness and gifts from the heart, well-being that comes from kindness and giving. The other side of it: envy, jealousy, an illusion of generosity, bad debts, unpaid loans, overwhelming greed. Which makes me think about this one, the illusion of generosity, and people promising to do good things, or saying they're doing good things, or being rewarded for good things, but they're not doing it fairly. Jealousy's a bitch. Envy and jealousy. That's kind of been an upcoming and recurring theme. I think I've attempted to write on the theme of it a couple of times too. I know I addressed it in some other comment feed, but it's one that I just have very little tolerance for. I don't know if you can see kind of what we've pulled out. We have the King of Oysters. It's showing up reversed. The Hangman showing up reversed. Page of Hats is showing up reversed. And like illusions being shown. The unseen being shown. I just saw something too about the Aurora Borealis being visible for like the next 2 years or something like that. Or we've seen the Aurora in places where maybe we typically haven't seen them, but they're related to, pardon me if I do this wrong, but some of these solar blast intensity things that we've been having. So things just energetically are uncomfortable. And I find it interesting too, because there have been a handful of deaths in the last week or two, but it seems like they're kind of in alignments with some of those solar surges and those flares, and it seems like an inability for conscious adaptation in being able to surpass some of these intensities. That might make people uncomfortable, because I think there are people who are attached or have like the emotional attachment to material things that get lost, or people, or they can't possess things, and therefore they respond or come back with this resounding animosity or narrative meant to unnerve or distract you or create some sort of illusion. It's really easy to fall into the trap of, well, because somebody said this to a group and people are conforming to that without question. Natural to question the self or to question identity. But it also feels like there's a heaviness and a tiredness from having to maintain that stature or to hold up that wall, or I don't even want to go so far as defend, because if you defend yourself it implies something wrong too. So like just standing in that presence and in that power is exhausting. So tired just standing in truth, basically. Doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. If you have questions, you can ask. I'm doing my best to keep track of the comment feeds. I just have this streaming through the Facebooks today. I always wish I could get these on YouTube too, but there's... Is it walls? Is it blocks? Is it waiting for timing? Like, why aren't the things getting done? There's a question for us here. Or, like, why aren't things being served? Or, like, why hasn't it been cut yet? Or, are we going to prioritization? If you're gonna put something out there that's new, people typically will perceive that to be a threat or intimidating, like that truth. If you come out with truth or in being very direct, when people feel seen, when people feel like that which is hidden is being visualized or being uncovered or acknowledged. I don't even want to say called out because it's out there. They're hesitant to accept it, and so things have to be presented in a certain way in order for it to be the most effective. Vibrational conscious frequencies come to mind, or positioning yourself through your word choices, articles, articulations coming through too, writing, messaging. Let's see what this King of Oysters is. King of Oysters and the Hangman are kind of look at some of this upside down stuff. It's right side up to you, but you're bought and sold and tricked. Upside down, we're talking about corruption and collusion, a codger, danger, faithlessness, going for ends without consideration of means. Again, kind of tying back into this external figure. It's almost as if inside us, right, having this opportunity or something to present or presentation, but somebody is either trying to advance or distract or draw your attention over here, right? Like, look what I can do. I can make something come out of nothing, but it's an illusion. It's not real. It's corrupted. Political stuff is coming to mind too. Maybe that's why we're kind of in this headspace. American politics, presidential elections, but not so much about any particular person, but the polarization or that dissonance, that cognitive dissonance that comes through the courageous, punctual, intelligent, loyal, natural leadership, that person of grace, person of charm. That's the opposing side of things. But again, things aren't what they seem, and still, like, that's such a strong theme for the last 2 years. There's these veils, facades, masks, covers. It's like looking at how the larger lingo is used in the base program and recognizing how easy it is to persuade somebody in a material world by using specific jargon. Again, like, the comfortable part, if the jargon is comfortable, it's taking you away from your purpose because it's enabling. And I would be careful of the people who are portraying and conveying themselves as perfection, or only taking the accountability for the good. If there's a presumption or an assumption as a precursor to an argument, you'll see where those defenses are coming forward before an argument is even evident. The Hanged Man. Let's look at the Hanged Man in this one. He's coming through. It's a lobster in this regard. Lobsters used to be the food for the poor. They were so abundant. And now, lobster is such a fancy meal for the fancy pansies. Your major arcana here. So looking at the things and looking beyond the things, looking beyond the veils, not letting the illusions persuade you in media. These symbols are playing into your subconscious and informing your behavior. You don't think they are. You think you're so far outside of that, but you're not. The subliminal programming. Subliminal effects, affects. So, pardon the noise here for a moment. This might be one of those opportunities. We're just going to be very careful about what we say and how we say it, because people want to make things look a certain way. Distractions, they're everywhere. Blowing the lavender. That's okay. So unwillingness to change and sacrifice, if we're looking at our reverse side. Selfishness, not giving a task or goal full effort, senseless sacrifice, going with the crowd. A great egotism, the going with the crowd part. That comfortable part. Like the little lemmings and the little sheeple. Well, everyone else is doing it, all my friends are doing it. Just because everybody else is doing it, I should be doing it. And if this isn't like what everybody else is doing, then it's bad because everybody else only does the good things. If we look to history and we look to psychology, we know that's wrong and so wrong. Yet people will fall into this and uphold or just try to do everything they can to appease that. I hope that leaf blower in the background isn't too distracting for you. Repetitive noises kind of take on all my focus, but okay, so the hangman and looking at things from a different perspective. The great egotism. I don't understand why people are drawn to it. I mean, I do. This like warmth and magnetism. But there's this polarity thing happening that's pushing and pulling and noise. The lobster's hung by its tail, probably over a cooking pot. Almost like we've got dinner and dessert sort of a thing. Or is somebody trying to distract you over dinner by providing you food? That's coercion through a primary reinforcer. Food and sex are primary reinforcers, and so oftentimes people will use these two tools to manipulate, giving people a false sense of security and comfort. I mean, it might feel good in the moment, but the underlying intentions and motivations for that exchange is what... Let's look at this guy a little bit more. You don't see the pot, right? You don't see that, but the only reason why this guy would be in this situation is catch and release or eat. Hard to tell which is which. But they swim backwards as well, so looking at things from an inverted perspective too, or from the opposite side of things, trying to take somebody else's perspective might really help you out here. An unwillingness to see somebody else's perspective, especially when you don't know or you don't understand something. If you just shut it out or block it out because you don't understand it, you can create a huge wave of dissonance and discomfort. So these like minor discomforts in the moment of discipline, let's say, not resistance, holding like self-restraint, there we go. That's hard. It can be uncomfortable to restrain oneself. Is there like a 70-30 rule, or like a 90-10 rule, or something like food-wise? Never to like eat the whole plate, but leave something as a sense of discipline. Give something back, or like tithing as a sense of discipline comes to mind too. But it's like consuming 100% of it all, or trying to take it all, is gluttony, falls into the realm of sin. Interesting that things gravitate towards like large, big things, but if you get too close to the sun, it'll burn you, it'll destroy you. It kind of needs you to fuel it. We cannot see who the perpetrator is, but we may assume it is one of the cooks for any one of the kings or queens. This is life in suspension, not in the pot, not out of the pot. That life in suspension, that's kind of a good way to put this too. I mean, even this guy here, he's in suspension and kind of at the whims of somebody else. I mean, this is a very similar kind of scenario here of what's going on, what's going in even. What I also think is interesting in these sorts of situations, like in relation to we cannot see who the perpetrator is. You can't really see, right? So the focus and the intention is put onto the creature or the thing that is being suspended. That which is in suspense, right? Maybe that's some of that discomfort too, is the suspense. Being held up, but not knowing, like, if you're going into like the eternal black hole, black rabbit hole, back into the hat of disillusionment, or if you're going to be boiled and eaten. It's really a tough spot to be in. Like, the only way to get free, basically, say, would be to pinch or to bite or to fight back. But hence the reason why the attention is being put on the thing that is in suspense, like scapegoated, or your attention is being redirected onto something like, oh no, we have to eat this guy or whatever because it's bad, but we consume it because it's good for us. But like, here, look at this sacrifice over here. The sacrifice is going to get all of the brunt focus. And so people go, oh yeah, that rabbit, that lobster must be there for a reason, because it somehow deserves it, and it becomes this spectacle. But there's nothing about truth in it for either of those. Like a very trapped kind of a feeling. It's not comfortable at all, is it? What else? This is life in suspension, not in the pot, not out of the pot. Schrodinger's cat, again, is coming to mind. We brought that up a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Does the lobster know yet what fate awaits it? Or is it confident in its immortality? It's like, if the lobster has no concept for being boiled alive, would it even know it's being boiled alive? It's just in suspense and like, ooh, look at this view from over here. Like completely oblivious, and that's not good. But it's Kizmet, so fate, but then opportunity meets fate, kind of in this realm of choices again. So maybe that's why we come to this page of hats over here. We've got our hat here and our thing in suspension, that which opposes us, maybe. I almost want to say that which appeals to us too, but not like appealing, drawing us in, but like appealed in a court situation. that's one person's very maybe 2-3 people's very specific story, and then there's a very specific story as it relates to presentation. Improvements and decisions, or what do you have to sacrifice, or people not wanting to make sacrifices because of egos. Our wind's really kicking up right now, huh? Page of Hats. Let's look at the reverse side, because he popped up reversed, and as we dive into it, susceptible to distraction, artifice, unable to ignore impulses, seductive and destructive. And there, again, just so much about distractions this morning. And overcoming distractions, or just sitting in the midst of distractions and working through it. And people want something so perfect all the time, or looking through this. If it's like, oh, there's too many distractions, I can't sit. Well, look at those things that are discomfort. Look what's coming up for you. Look what's being pulled out of that, and the magical opportunity you have to alchemize some of that discomfort. But this is truth coming up and out. And you can suppress it and put it back in, but that's not going to be helpful. The artifice part, the artificial part, the facade part, the trying to create distractions, or trying to create a, ooh, look over here, look at this, something shiny, because you, I don't want to say you are, but someone is trying really hard to throw someone else off track as a means of, I guess, preserving that ego, or maybe maintaining this illusion, or this false sense of security or something. Unable to ignore impulses. There's that 5-second rule, where if you're feeling something really impulsive, especially in regard to relationships, any kind of relationship, in a heated situation where something is going to come to that head, where it's going to come to that argument, take 5 seconds. It's all it takes. There's scientific research studies on this, that 5 seconds has the same effect as 15 seconds of just pausing, stopping, kind of putting yourself into this suspension mode, right? For 5 seconds to breathe and just allow that initial impulsive emotional reaction, response, feeling to process, to pass. Breathe with it, sit, kind of take that opportunity to acknowledge space of non-judgment. People take that initial impulse as truth, and they become very reactive, and they have this feeling, and they don't know how to cope with intense feelings or discomfort in feelings, and so they take that initial impulse as truth, and they let's say integrate it into their consciousness as a foundation for let's say, I don't want to say validating their, let's say justifying their actions and opinions, especially the mean ones, the antagonizing ones. When people perceive an attack at that direct, I don't even want to say confrontation, because that's going to bring up the feelings, the flip side of it, the inverted side of it, right? The hat says in this style. Is it the same here too? I suppose in this style, 10/6. I'll let that set to see if something comes up. A person given to intense concentration on studies or on a project, reflective, loyal, helpful, trustworthy, a good type of secretive work, news or messages. I'm going to set that kind of over here, and we're going to look at here, because if it's messages or something's knocking or there's opportunity, again, the suspension, this time of waiting, just because one door closes doesn't mean it can't open again. A closed door is not always a locked door, or you know how there's these pretty standard like euphemisms in cultures that take like these metaphors, ideas, and concepts, and then they're kind of integrated into our social structure as truth, but they're metaphors, so they're like super open to interpretation. This might be a space where you can explore your creative side of mixing up those euphemisms to generate a new meaning. We're in the midst of groundskeeping and landscaping work. If that means anything to you in this realm of distraction and suspension. I don't know, something about this cake thing too. Kind of lost my point there. Oh, for the euphemisms, like you can't really have your cake and eat it too. Like, how can we restructure that saying in such a way where collectively we begin to think outside of the box, or think more creatively, or think for ourselves, instead of allowing these euphemisms to think for us without really fully understanding what it is that they mean. I don't know, something about serving your cake or something, or let other people serve your cake for you. See who comes to feed you your cake. Nobody's going to feed you cake for you. Like, nobody's going to come along and save you. Nobody's going to come along and do this work for you. Nobody's, again, in this space, this isn't going to tell you what to do. This is getting you to that space consciously where you can think creatively, or you can shift the gear into, I can heal myself, I can save myself, I can do this myself. Lots of oyster stuff. 9 oysters? I think this one was upright. For the most part, the other ones were not. Our leaf blower guy's back. Our lavender blower. He's blowing lavender in our direction. Lavender and sage. There's our smudging. Fine. We're just gonna work through it. It's okay. An accomplishment and a feeling of safety, physical pleasure, and love of nature, discretion and foresight. Thinking ahead, looking to the patterns. Okay, we'll talk about the other side of it, because we're looking at things from multiple angles, and the other side of this one is kind of bothering me. I feel frustrated, because it's this blocky external thing. It's that, like, which is suspending, or keeping us suspended, bad faith, villainy, danger to self or spirit, loss of a friend or treasured keepsake, abandoned project. Like someone is trying to frame things in such a way where you don't get to have what you've worked very hard for. Probably because they want to take it for themselves, or they want the credit, or they want something about it. That jealousy, envy thing. Somebody who probably was once a friend but isn't a friend anymore. You can't really trust friends or people who have associations with people who used to be friends. I don't know, things just feel kind of like heavy, heartbreaky, strong boundaried. If you're relying on these facades and these illusions to receive recognition or validation or something, or some sort of form of like material something or other, you're only going to harm yourself in the long run. Again, like the immediate payoffs are there, which might be confusing, because you're like, well, if it's so bad, then why am I this, or why am I getting that, or why am I being rewarded this way? You know, in that movie Matilda, in the first Matilda, not the weird remake, where there's that boy who gets in trouble and then he's got to eat like the whole chocolate cake and it makes him sick, and they're like, Matilda's encouraging him to eat the whole chocolate cake. And he's supposed to do this as a punishment. But then it turns into a kind of in your face to the perpetrator of, okay, you can use this as a punishment, but I'm going to take this opportunity to I don't want to say like prove you wrong, but take this opportunity to extend resilience in that you can attempt to destroy, but you cannot defeat. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just is what it is. And so I think when people get into this destructive category and this destructive energy, this destructive nature, it's like ultimately succumbing to a point of neutrality or something like that. And I think that's where maybe that resistance thing comes into play, because just because you want to destroy somebody or something doesn't mean that it's that. Distraction. Why does nobody ever call me until I'm doing the thing? No, it's fine. How long have we been on here anyway? We'll keep going a little bit longer. It's like somebody put you in this situation because they wanted to punish you. But this punishment that they've tried to force upon you inevitably becomes the situation which inspires people to break down the system that opposes them. That makes sense. That feels good. A slow connection. It's okay. This will get out and through whatever it needs to. We'll look at this 9 again. Is there something else about oysters that will... Where's the king oysters? Because we're in this realm of oysters, right? This is that corruption and collusion, a conjure, danger, and there's danger here too. Like danger. Like just because it's a dangerous situation doesn't mean that it's not going to work out in your favor. It's just going to hurt. No pain, no gain, right? Going for ends without consideration of means. I think this one is really important too, because people get caught up in the I wants and the to haves. I want to have, I want this. This is, no matter what, this is what I'm going to get. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to have. And people will do some pretty atrocious things in order to attain that level of status symbol. Because it's not in the doing, it's not in the presence, it's in the having and in the wanting and in that dominating, projecting sort of thing. But again, like, it can't be created or destroyed, so you don't really get to make that choice. You might think that you've made a choice because there's this illusion of a direct consequence because of some sort of antecedent or some sort of behavior. But if you follow that function chain back enough, it's like dominoes falling in a lot of different directions. This is where people, like, don't really care what happens to other people so long as they get what they want. Apathy, the apathetic. Alright, let's look at Night of Oysters, because again we have oysters. And maybe at these hats too, because we have so many of these hats coming out. Like, where's all of this coming from? Where's all of this suspension coming from? Okay, this guy's so red. He's so intense. It's almost a difficult card to look at, but one that, like, super catches the attention. Knight is here. True, responsible. He's upside down though, so complacency, stagnation, a refusal to move forward, and thereby being pushed back. Dogmatic. Doing things because you're supposed to, as opposed to like a confident spirituality. Something about organization and dependability, but complacency. That would probably be another word to put in here, is in regards to apathy, complacency, being complacent. Almost like, hold me, do it for me. But being at the mercy of others. So what is being offered to you? For hats. What are the hats here? Hats correspond to cups, which is hearts, emotional stuff, right? Primarily with messages, travel, and the home. Suit of gifts contains all that is truly important. So there's something being offered to you here in this space that is really important. You can take this with a grain of salt, or you can take this with a bucket of cake. I don't know. Changing the euphemisms, huh? But 4 hats. Aversion to imaginary flaws. Switch your apathy to aversion to imaginary flaws. Not wanting what is offered, a former bad choice which influences all future choices, a need for perfection, a stagnant period of life. Right? I want to say that even if things are like paying off for you or going fairly well, but you've been doing the same thing for years, decades, and you've always been doing the same things the same way, so it's predictable, therefore you can get the payout, that's still a level of stagnating. Just throwing it out there. I like your wealth means nothing in a stagnant pool. No matter how big or small that pool is, it's still stagnating. It's accumulating, like quagmiring. Because of that tithing thing, it's like holding on to 100% or holding on to 110% instead of holding on to 30% and releasing 70%, or consuming 70% but leaving 30%, or you can go 90-10, however that energy shift works for you. Why not 80-20? Golden ratio, rule of thirds. 3s, 6s, and 9s are kind of important. Numerological frequencies, that's why. The other side, hope, great which is funny, right? Because you would think good, bad, but it's not. That's judgment, because this can have a somewhat negative connotation, where this one has a more positive connotation. So again, check your judgments. Hope, great expectations that are to be delivered, new approaches, new friends, new access to knowledge or dreams, newness. This Ace of Oysters is kind of over here sticking out to me too. Maybe we'll look at that and start kind of closing off this space. I'm wrapping it up. I'll go into the Art Oracles. We'll kind of get out of this rabbit hole for a little bit and let all that information kind of percolate. Because I think there's going to be parts that go, oh, later. Because it's experiential. There's like what I'm talking about. You can understand it through the vicarious nature of it, but until you actually experience it and put it into practice, it's not really going to click. We won't be able to feel it. feeling it part's kind of important. Yeah, okay, so money without happiness, wealth abused, corruption and greed, becoming a Scrooge. That corrupted thing again. Identifying with the external validation of things, but that's not going to make you happy. We talked a little bit about that in the last reading too. I see a lot of people that have a lot of resources that waste them. I don't even want to say waste them, but like stagnate them. Because it can't be created or destroyed, so it can't be like created or wasted. I mean, you don't waste it, but it gets misdirected, and so things acquire or accumulate in areas of density that are disproportionate to the body and the system that they exist within, so therefore it becomes uncomfortable. Like if you eat too much, right? It's like this disproportionate amount of pressure in your gut that's really uncomfortable. And maybe a lot more uncomfortable and alarming or self-harming than maybe, say, the discomfort of tithing or giving a percentage of it away, or releasing control on it even. It's a control thing, that's why people do it. The other side of that is like the contentment, the perfection, the balancing systems. Do I have anything else here that we want to look at? Questions and comments? Now is your opportunity. Not here. Okay. Let's go into Art Oracle. And maybe for the last 10 minutes or so here, we'll close this off with some figureheads or something, say abstracted and contemporary to kind of fish us back out of this rabbit hole that we've gone down into. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll go there. There. And into this Art Oracle. Take a moment. Let's kind of shift gears. Breathe in, breathe out. Release. Contain, release. It's not create or destroy your energy. You don't create or destroy. You contain and you release. William Blake. He's the first one I popped up here. Look at him! Do we need to censor his wee-wee? But he's there. This makes me laugh because there's so much scrutiny around nudity. And male nudity, to me, is one of these things that, there's hilarity there. And not because of the form. Like, more because of that, like, emperor without clothes kind of a thing. Hell is hypocrisy on earth. Hypocrite. Those dissonance things, those two opposing factors. You can do it, but somebody else can't do it. Or, like, if you want to know what hell feels like, it's hypocrites. Like, live and let live, you know. But people do this all the time, especially let's say political figureheads, leaders. I want to say leaders, political figureheads. They'll just charm your socks off and say all the perfect things in the context to get you to buy in, to get the vote. Meanwhile, under the table or underhandedly, there's that corroboration and corruption. Vision requires not sight, but spirit. We had something about spirit coming up in there too, like standing in that spirit or maintaining that authentic spirit. That's really important because the things that you see are often illusory, and those things like the aurora, right, that phenomena, that optical illusion, how do we want to put this? That magnetic thing that once was unseen, that we were told is not real and just an illusion. That's real. We can see it now. It's clear as day. The extrasensory aspects, attuning our batteries, like batteries to that extrasensory thing, because that magnetic intensity is increasing. Electromagnetic increasing frequency is affecting the adaptation system of the bodies, and our abilities to contain and transmit, even transfer, contain and transfer. I like that better. That energy which is all around us, and if we're unable to attune the batteries through these really highly electromagnetic whatever times consciously, through awareness, shifting the way we think about things, the coding, the wording, the programming, that people aren't going to make it through if they're not adjusting to. But then again, there's this madness in life, genius in death. There's this post-mortem thing that's come up. I don't know if it's this deck. I think it is this deck. This one too I like, as far as things not being what they seem. A composed soul, thank you Mr. Monk, Edward. A composed soul is not necessarily a calm one. Scream into a canvas, not a pillow. So express that. Don't suppress that. Ask anxiety to pose for you. A composed soul is not necessarily a calm one. There are a lot of people who portray themselves in that like calm, perfect, unaffected way. I'm gonna charm your socks off. Here's the presentation. I know this, or I understand this through self-reflection, personality profiling, something about my composites or my charts, my affect, at least in the way that I've understood in ways of relating to myself. Typically when I'm the most expressive on the outside, when all these things are expressed in the moment, in that true nature energy, people are like, that's not a calm person, or that's somebody who is imbalanced, which I think is funny, ironic, because in those moments of truthful expression, that part of me that watches, that overseer, that internal, that heart, that electromagnetic pulse, it's so calm. There's such like a sturdy, strong anchor at the core that it allows these energies to flail about and kind of be all over the place, but they're all anchored and secured at the very core. So the opposing side of that are those who portray themselves to be the most contained, the most calm, and the most structured. If you watch very closely, you can see this come through in the jaw, and you can see it come through in like the quirks, the anxiety bouncing, oftentimes like the foot bouncing, the leg bouncing. It's an energetic discharge, because this very calm facade on that inside, it has nothing that it's anchored to. On the inside, in the core, underneath that cover, it's chaos in there that is not calm. There is all sorts of inner turmoil and corruption that is informing the body. What does the book say here? And then we'll pull one more artist out of this, and then we'll call it for today. I'm working on being more frequent at this, and more present and in the moments of talking myself out of this space so much. We're hesitating, or, falling into the like, oh, you can't do that, the listening to the other voices. So thank you for showing up in this space with me and being here with me. I love this space. I love this space so very much, and the hundreds and hundreds of views that these videos get through this channel and this portal here. It's motivating, it's validating. Facebook pays me for videos now. Not a lot, but enough to motivate this space. I know, right? Haunted by the premature deaths of his mother and sister from tuberculosis, the religious obsessions of his father, and recurring brushes with madness and disease, Monk poured personal pain and anxiety into a singular style of expressionism. His famous painting, The Scream, is available as a popular emoji today, suggesting that personal terror and stifled cries for help have never had wider circulation, despite the invention of Xanax. Ditto for Monk's other renowned works, such as Anxiety, Jealousy, and Melancholy. He's expressing these emotions and these things that we're told to express. So we can't do that. You can't put that out there. But thank goodness somebody did, because we're still using this art piece as a healing modality to discharge all of that discomfort. People are crying out for help. People want help. They don't know how to accept the help. They don't trust the help. They want to be held and enabled and left in suspension. They don't want to help themselves. Do we have anything else here from Mr. Blake before we pick our third card? When young William Blake saw visions of angels and biblical figures, loved ones suggested he unsee them. Damn weirdo. But these visions were Blake's inspiration. Religious, historical, imaginary spirits posed for him, he said. The unseen things are posing for you. These things are coming out. The things that are being hidden. You can find a way to express them. Okay. Expressing the discomfortable things. Discomfortable. Through art. That's why art exists. This isn't like through pain and domineering and war and destruction. From that containment and transference space. Contain and transfer. Contain and transfer. Create and destroy. We don't have that power. We can contain and we can transfer in our batteries. I'm liking batteries a lot. It's working for me. Okay. Today, this committed naturist would have his own fashion line, but in his own time, Blake was considered a nut job, even as he led the Romantics with his poetry, illustrations, and engravings, commenting on the dichotomy of want versus action, knowledge versus ignorance. A religious man, Blake hated Bible-waving, killjoy hypocrites, there's that word again, and believed in human equality and sexual liberation. Keep fighting the good fight, ghost of William Blake. Again, people doing things not quite as they seem. Yeah, and I'm well aware that there are people out there who call me crazy for the way that I do things and what I do. And I'm well and fair. All well and fair. No, I'm not crazy. At the core, very, very attached to the reality of what's going on, and it's just not going to be seen until later. Ives Klein, he keeps popping up too, and I guess maybe I haven't really addressed him enough or given him the appropriate sort of attention, and that's why he's popping back up here again. That's fine. Well, okay, Ives Klein. Learn everything from nothing. Energy can't be created or destroyed, but at the same time, you don't really need a lot of the material things to do the things. You can, from this tower space, tower came up last time, you can rebuild with nothing. It's not that we live in a vacuum. You know, we exist inside of a container that has enough of the materials and the resources to be able to generate the new things. We can tap into the morphic resonance field, and we can bring in these new ideas. Like we are batteries. We can contain and we can transfer. Opportunities to learn are all around you. You don't need traditional learning styles to do it. Or just from this place of a fresh start. If I'm erasing everything you think you know about all of the things, and now here you are with, oh, now what? Because everything has been left in suspension. Run with that. Take from that whatever you can. You can't not have a cake and not eat it. Include yourself in your list of materials. Enroll in a judo class. Alright, Vivez, let's see. And then I'm closing this off because it's getting warm in here. And I have a phone call to return now. Oh, wrong book. That's why. Vivez. I'm not super familiar with his work. Maybe I'll look it up later today. Ives Klein saw depth in monochrome and something in nothing, confronting emptiness in exhibitions such as 1958's The Void, a bare gallery painted white. Nude models sometimes served as Klein's paintbrushes. He'd cover bodies in paint and direct them in movements across canvases. In 1960, Klein patented his own color, International Klein Blue, satisfying his desire to capture the ambiguity between earth and sky. The ambiguous part again? That space between in the interstices. That same year, Klein did a leap into the void, a photograph of himself soaring over a quiet street, having just leapt from the top of a wall. To deal with the stress of nothing, he found his zen through a lifelong study of judo. All of this is like looking at the opposing things, or like taking the inversion of things and recreating something new out of it. But it's looking at things from a different perspective. What do I understand of the judo class? Energy redirection. Again, learning how to contain and transfer the energies. Solidifying things. So long as you have the body, right, you have the opportunity to be able to engage in this life force in such a way where you can resound in Kizmet. And of course it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be easy. That's not the point to it. No compromise is a good compromise. Blemished origins do not negate flawless conclusion. Become ill with unhealthy perfectionism. Know who you aren't. Find clarity in clutter. There's more than one way to read a map. That one's been coming up a lot too. There's more than one way to do it. There is no right or wrong way. And so if somebody is to stop you in your tracks with, well, if you do it right, then we will blah 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 blah. Oh my fucking god, like, if it's new, how do you know if it's right? And if it's right, what are you implying that I've done that's wrong? But you can't tell me what I've done wrong, because there's nothing that I've done wrong in containing and transferring information as it pertains to Kizmet. People are like, no, don't break down the illusions and the walls. We need those. Or they want to uphold the, like, ooh, pretty, look over here, go into this space. Everything is shiny and you can't see what's really going on over here. That happens all the time in the political media world. Ooh, look, let's create a distraction over here to distract you from what's really going on over here. Ooh, pretty, shiny. Ooh, look, dancing music, la la la. While meanwhile over here, what is that? Maybe we'll look at that tomorrow, because I think we could do a whole other reading as far as other people's motives, or the other motive. I think that would be a good thing to look into, because again, kind of theme popped up here before this too. You can do all of the work. You can do everything right. You can take all of the steps to do everything right. But if the people on the other side of the relationship don't understand, or don't have the same knowledge or the same respect, or whatever you want to call it, all that work that you do kind of means nothing and goes right out the window. There's another level of work that has to be done on top of that, of how do you navigate the pressures of doing the work with somebody who's not, or who's generally trying to oppose and get you to break down in those moments. Okay, I'll reflect on that one. I'll listen back through this one. Then I think if it still resonates or whatever, that would be a good place to start on for the next one. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. I don't want to make promises, but I definitely want to maintain this momentum. Anything else? I don't think so. If you have questions, you can reach out. You can send me messages. You can email me. You can, I don't know, contact me one way or another for private one-on-one readings, just for some general insights, for whatever. People show up always in this space when it's meant to be in perfect timing. That is absolutely there. I do have that bubble, whatever, set around to filter out any of the things that's not in the highest good of myself and you, others, everything. So I am very careful and conscientious about the type of energies and people that I allow into my space. But if you feel called to it, do it. I'm super flexible when it comes to conveying the information, and oftentimes if you need the information and feel called to reach out, even if there's like material limitations or restraints or something like that, do it anyway and see what happens. Something from nothing, right? Anything else here? Send donations at Venmo, to Venmo if you like. Sweet Unicorn. Unicorn with a K. I don't know. I have so many questions. I have a ton of questions and a lot of things I want to talk about and address and work through and process, but I think that's all stuff that just gets to go on the canvas. I don't have art studio time today, I don't think. Maybe later. Okay, I gotta keep going. Thanks for showing up in this space. Until next time, bye!